going on today. We have a little bit of an intro video, especially for everybody out there before we get started. Would you like to know how you can support the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show? If so, head down to the comments on our YouTube channel. You will see two links there. The first is our Teespring, where you can see a wide variety of apparel products, including our signature product, the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show sweatshirts, offered in a variety of different colors, including gray, navy blue, and more. Finally, we have our Patreon page, where you can become a monthly donation member. 10% of all donations go towards an organization of our viewers' choice. We hope that you enjoyed today's episode, and if you can't donate, that's okay, because you can always share this. All right, folks, again, as we mentioned, we have Teespring and Patreon available for you. So let's get started with today's episode. Let's bring in now Gavin, Tony. Gavin, it is great to have you on. It is Friday. We are next to each other. So for those who don't know, we are probably 5 or 10 feet, not even from each other, a lot closer than we usually are. Happening. Definitely. So, Gavin, how you doing today? It's great to have you on the show again. It's been a fun week, to say the least.
Yeah, we did. We made it a week, man. This is not just the only time. We're going every day for the rest of the summer and hopefully for the rest of the year. So I'm ready. You ready to get it going?
I am ready.
Let's get it going then.
All right, let's do it. So our first topic today we are diving into the NBA. DeMarcus Cousins, the infamous center to say the least. He has been on an abundance of teams. He's with Anthony Davis on the Pelicans. He was on the Warriors last year after suffering some injuries. He was on the Kings before that. So, Gavin, I'm going to ask you first. DeMarcus Cousins was waived from the Lakers this year after tearing his ACL. He was with the team for some of the year. Do you think that DeMarcus Cousins is going to return to the Los Angeles Lakers for the playoffs?
Yeah, well, guess what? He didn't get to play a nary game with the LA Lakers because he tore his ACL or Achilles in practice. So I think when you look at DeMarcus Cousins, you're like, well, he is an all-star. He's like a couple-time all-star, and he can average a good 26 and 10. And you put him up with AD and LeBron, that just adds to the firepower. Yesterday, I was talking about how they don't have enough role pieces around LeBron and AD after that, and you just add this guy, and it's like, all right, well, wait a minute, the Clippers and Lakers might have just got closer again. I still roll with the Clippers in it, but I think Cousins back to LA would be a great move for the Lakers.
Do you think DeMarcus Cousins is an upgrade from JaVale McGee?
Yes, big time.
All right, I'm going to disagree with you there. I think that they're better off where they are right now. DeMarcus Cousins is known to stir up the pot a little bit. He's had some issues last year with Golden State, before that as well. I don't think he's an upgrade from JaVale McGee, at least not anymore. He was playing at top 5 center a couple years ago with the Pelicans. Pairs very well with Anthony Davis. That's pretty obvious. But I think that they already have a great chemistry with JaVale McGee. JaVale McGee is a very experienced center. And most importantly, he's healthy. We don't know what DeMarcus Cousins is going to look like coming off of the injury. Gavin, would you say that he was good last year? You were a big Warriors fan, so would you say DeMarcus Cousins did look good, or maybe he needed some time to recover? I know he was in and out of the lineup throughout the entire season.
Well, DeMarcus Cousins definitely wasn't 100%, but when he was there, he was there. He wasn't the worst, but he wasn't what we always are used to seeing him as. Achilles injury for a big man is nothing easy to come back. Well, Achilles in general. But I think if DeMarcus Cousins was 100%, I think the Golden State Warriors would have won the NBA Finals last year. I do believe that the Golden State Warriors would have kept DeMarcus Cousins around last year. I do believe that DeMarcus Cousins has a chance to return to a somewhat caliber. I mean, remember, he formed an outside shooting shot. You know, he was able to translate his game, and he's a big man that can also play make as well. So I do believe that DeMarcus Cousins is better than JaVale McGee, but I don't know yet because he hasn't really played to what we are used to seeing him play as.
Definitely no. There's definitely a lot to be found there. And one thing that is a misconception in this league, especially with the next topic that we are going to be talking about today, is talking about NBA players and what they look like when they are coming off of injuries, or more importantly, when they're older. So let's talk about Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo Anthony, drafted in 2003, the only player, I believe, Gavin, in the top 5 that does not have a ring with LeBron James and everybody like that. Yeah. It's unfortunate. Carmelo Anthony is a very talented forward. He's played on a couple different teams. Center Stones with the Nuggets and the New York Knicks for a few years. Went to the Houston Rockets. We know how that all ended up. And then he was on the Thunder as well. And now he is a part of the Portland Trail Blazers, who have been, Gavin, to say the least, they're struggling this year quite a bit. And they've had a bunch of injuries with Yusuf Nurkic, and Damian Lillard's been out a few times, CJ McCollum. But more importantly, Rodney Hood with the season-ending injury earlier in the year. Yeah. Well, Carmelo Anthony said he's not sure if he's going to return, and he's, quote-unquote, up in the air about it. So, Gavin, what are some of your general thoughts on that? I know we spoke about the other day, giving props to Adam Silver.
Yeah.
We understand that players should not be punished for this. We kind of went over that, and it's pretty obvious that they're not going to be punished. But what are some of your thoughts about Carmelo Anthony and possibly not returning to be a part of the Portland Trailblazers in this return?
Well, he doesn't have. It's not a clear-cut shot that he's going to the playoffs. I said this the other day, a couple shows ago. I said Damian Lillard's talking like the eighth seed was really his, but in reality, it's not. You still got to make the Grizzlies lose a couple games, and you got to defend as well. And also, the Pelicans are literally right behind you. Now, Carmelo Anthony, he has all the right not to want to go if he doesn't want to, because this, sad, I hate to say it, but it's not one of these situations where they're forcing you to play. This is kind of play at your own risk, too. And you're leaving your family, and, I think I think Carmelo Anthony has a kid, but if you look at what Carmelo Anthony has done this year, he has done what his role is supposed to be, but it's not like his role is big enough. Like if he doesn't come, it's not going to be a big miss out. I think when you look at the way how this team is built, you look at CJ McCollum, Damian Lillard. They lost Rodney Hood, but one guy that really is underplayed this year was Hassan Whiteside. But back to Carmelo Anthony, if he doesn't go, it's okay. There's not a clear-cut chance of going to the finals, and if you go or to make the playoffs to begin with, and if they go, they're going to get the eighth seed, and the eighth seed plays the 1, and the 1 is the Lakers, and that's going to go.
Right. No, I agree with you on that. And so my next question would be if the Trailblazers were in that 3 spot that they were last year, you think it'd be a little bit easier of a decision for Carmelo Anthony to go, or maybe because he's unsure that it's going to be worth it and that they're going to be able to make the playoffs, then that's going to be something that's important.
Oh yeah, if they had a guaranteed playoff spot right now, I think no one like Carmelo Anthony would be like, well, I'm not going to go. I'm coming. Like he wouldn't be on the fence about it. The problem is they're the 9th seed in a tough close race with the Grizzlies and Pelicans, and you only got 8 games to do it. I wouldn't go. Me personally, that's not enough time for me to hopefully get a chance to go. So I'm sitting out. And I know we talk about teammates and how it feels and Scottie Pippen and sitting out, but you got to think about what is the real chance here.
Definitely. No, it's a good point. And I expressed my thoughts the other day about how you're letting your teammates down sometimes. But Carmelo Anthony is not the centerpiece of that team, in my opinion, and I don't want to sound hypocritical, but to explain my point, I don't think that Damian Lillard should sit out those games. I think he should play because he's the leader. But a guy like Carmelo Anthony, who's at most a role player nowadays, I don't think that he has as much of an obligation to go as Dame does.
Well, I want to back you up on that too. I also think if Damian Lillard sits out, then all his comments are pointless. You kind of Adam Silver, if you want to look at it, he kind of made this for you, the Western Conference to be exact, because the West is really tight, and Damian Lillard was the most outspoken player on the team that was on the outside looking in. So if Damian Lillard sits out, I can sit here and look at you like, so you just complain for no reason and you're not even going to try? You asked for a chance. They gave you 8 games to do it, and you're not going to try. Now, for Carmelo, on the other hand, it would be like, all right, well, Melo didn't try, but also Melo wasn't outspoken about it. He didn't speak up about any of the decisions NBA was going on. Damian Lillard was, and Damian Lillard was clear cut on what he wanted, and he kind of got what he wanted per se. And if you don't play, you just sold. Nothing you can say there.
Right. So as we know, they did ask the teams did vote on approving or disapproving the 22-team 8-game playoff series, pretty much, or play-in playoffs, things like that. 29-1 was the results. 29 teams approved, 1 didn't. That was the Portland Trailblazers. So I mean, do you think that Damian Lillard had some say in that decision? Because it was an overwhelming majority, but the one team that didn't vote is one of the teams that this was built around.
Well, I have a feeling he had a big influence on it. Damian Lillard is one of the top 10 best NBA players in the league right now. So if you had, and how vocal he was on social media about it, it's kind of hard to be like, well, we got to get him involved. We want him to play. That's money. Damian Lillard is a freak in the playoffs. Well, his clutch shots and he hits. So yeah, he had a big influence in it, I want to say.
Definitely. No, I agree with you on that. And I think that it's interesting to say the least how that turned out. And I think, how would you describe Adam Silver's feeling if he really did scope a lot of this with teams like the Trailblazers in mind?
Well, if I'm Adam Silver and the main team and the main person didn't play, I'm like, well, I could have just went straight to the playoffs and we didn't have to do this. I think if I'm Adam Silver and Damian Lillard doesn't play, Damian Lillard, and that's like a slap in the face. Adam Silver. Adam Silver could have basically been like, guys, we're going to go to Orlando. We're just going to go straight to the playoffs. You guys can start practicing now, and we're going to go from there. With players like Damian Lillard or just Damian Lillard in general, Damian Lillard spoke against Adam Silver, and Adam Silver was like, well, I'm going to try to make this right because I want the NBA to come back, and I'm going to give you guys 8 games. But if Damian Lillard doesn't play, that's a big slap in the face, Adam Silver. But he is a really great NBA commissioner. I know we spoke on that yesterday, but to please – I'm going to come out and say just to please one person to give them a chance. That's big because I know a lot of commissioners wouldn't do that.
No, very good point. And I think that that's something that we have to acknowledge. We've spoken about this, how hard of a job it is to be the commissioner. So to do all this, if it's true, which it kind of is obvious, the numbers add up. If this was done with a lot of teams like the Trailblazers, the Pelicans, a few others in mind, I definitely think that it's a slap in the face to Adam Silver. So I'll ask you this, though. I think I know the answer to it pretty well. Why would the Pelicans seem pretty amped, pretty excited to get Zion in his first playoff experience, even if it means being swept by the Lakers? But the Blazers, on the other hand, they were one series away from the finals last year. Do you think that's why maybe they feel a little bit of a little disheartened by this?
Well, you got to take a look at where they were last year and where they are now. They are 6 spots back from where they were last year, and they're on the outside looking in, to be exact, too. If I'm the Blazers, I'm like, yeah, of course, I feel some type of way about not being it. But I think the Pelicans are more amped and ready because this is a young team. They're not supposed to be anywhere near this. They're supposed to be the 11th seed, on the outside looking in. Talk about next year we'll be in it. But they have a clear-cut chance to make it. And the storyline, and I know you might agree with me on this, the storyline, how about this? Zion versus LeBron James in the first round, and Lonzo Ball has to play his former team. That would be pretty good. I don't know how you feel about that, but for me, that would be pretty awesome to watch in the first round. Whether Zion loses or not, that would be pretty cool.
And even more than that, Anthony Davis playing the team that he despises. And what's going to suck, I was about to say, then when they go to New Orleans, they're going to get booed. That's not going to happen, so that's an advantage for the Lakers. And so we're going to get started with the next topic here. We're again talking about Carmelo Anthony not returning. We're going to learn more about that, and as that continues, and we'll see if some more teams, more players become more outspoken about that. So let's talk about the big news of the day with Giannis sweepstakes, pretty much. And so he's a Buck right now, been a Buck for a while. So I think, Gavin, what does it take for the Bucks to be able to retain Giannis after this season?
First, you're going to have to give him some more help than just Chris Middleton. You guys got a lot of role players, but as you can tell, nowadays in the NBA, it takes 2 superstars almost to look like to win a championship or at least get to one or get close to one. You look at Philadelphia, you look at Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, you look at Lakers, AD and LeBron, and then you look at the Bucks and you're like, well, Giannis and who? Chris Middleton? Chris Middleton is not scrub, but he's below average, or above average, excuse me. But the thing is Giannis has been there for so long. He's came close so many times. He's gotten way better. I don't know there's much more he can do to become a Buck. And you could throw 200 plus. And I know they're gonna give him a hefty contract, but if it's at the point where do you want the money or do you want to win? And I think Giannis wants to win. And I don't think winning in Milwaukee is not going to happen. I think he needs to go elsewhere. There's rumors that he will join Steph Curry and Klay Thompson in Golden State, and they might kick Draymond Green off the team. Which, if you're getting Giannis and getting rid of Draymond Green, they'll be okay with that. There's been reports that he may go join someone else, but I don't see Giannis staying a Buck or winning as a Buck. If he stays, he's not going to win. If he leaves, he might win. Well, he will win at some point.
So you think the Bucks have no chance of winning the NBA Finals this year?
No.
All right, I'm not going to disagree with you entirely on that, but I do think that this team is closer to a championship than most teams. They're the favorite in the East. So, I mean, if you're going to lose to the Lakers or the Clippers, I mean, those are both dang good teams. I think that in order to keep him, they need to make it to the finals, win or lose. In addition to that, they need to offer him the Supermax, which is the only one that his team can offer him. And finally, I think that they need to give him maybe not a ball-dominant point guard, but a point guard that can shoot.
A playmaker.
A playmaker, yes. Yeah. So who do you think? Let's get top 3 candidates from both of us. I'll let you start, Gavin. Who are the top 3 candidates that you could bring in to pair with Giannis. In my opinion, I'm going to choose pretty much point guards, but you can choose any position.
Well, we talk about point guards. Like, yeah, that's what he really needs. He needs someone else that can help him, draw double teams or get him open in space or have someone else to hit a shot. They did a great job getting shooters around Giannis, but he needs another help, like another person. As candidates, I have no idea as of the moment because Giannis, we learn something new about Giannis every day. He developed the jump shot. The jump shot is ugly looking, but it goes in.
It works.
It works. It's something I wish Ben Simmons did more. But I think the one person that I really would love to see Giannis pair up with, and I know they can't do this unless he goes to that team, Chris Paul and Giannis Antetokounmpo would be a pretty deadly combo. Chris Paul on a little bit older side of the spectrum, and I think he might finish his career at OKC unless they move him. But if you talk about like a pure playmaking point guard, there's your guy right there.
That's exactly who I was thinking of, funny enough. And so I think that Chris Paul is my number 1 candidate. I could think Russell Westbrook, maybe not the best shooter, but definitely racks with the assists, gets the boards, other things like that. So I think it's important that you can break that down and definitely, to say the least, a good understanding of what the team needs. And I think Chris Paul is a good choice. I mean, you can think Derrick Rose in a way as far as playmaking ability. Obviously not, in my opinion, the starter caliber anymore with the jump shot either. But yeah, go ahead.
Well, what Derrick Rose can get himself 18 too. When healthy, Derrick Rose, people forget Derrick Rose was MVP at one point in time. So I wouldn't say Derrick Rose isn't the worst candidate, but he wouldn't be like the number 1. Obviously, number 1 is Chris Paul. You bring up Russell Westbrook, but the thing is, Russell Westbrook is locked in with Houston, and I think Houston, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook, those are their guys. And I think the best, like I said, the best is Chris Paul, and maybe I want to say D'Angelo Russell, but like
I think D'Angelo Russell's a good. I mean, he's a shooter, he's a playmaker, and so I think that's definitely something that is a good thing to say the least. But I could see D'Angelo Russell working with him. I think Minnesota could be a potential place for him. Karl Anthony Towns is a shooter. We think Minnesota could be a good fit. Would he consider looking there? It's up north. It's not too far from him.
I wouldn't consider there because our good friend Jimmy Butler said this. He said, "I've never seen a team that would just never care to win." As you can tell, Jimmy Butler was the reason why they went to the playoffs. But they didn't stay long. Their stay was really short. But I think a team that Giannis could consider, or in my opinion, besides the Warriors, I'm going to leave the biases out the way. I'm going to say he should consider the Indiana Pacers. You got Victor Oladipo, you got Malcolm Brogdon, Miles Turner. You add him in there, that's a good big 3 right there. Or also you could put this is just me talking. What if Giannis came to the Sixers? That would be pretty fun.
Who's going to shoot the ball? Didn't we already emphasize how little shooting the Sixers have? I mean, I know it'd probably be a dominant team, but you need a coach who understands bully ball. I know that Brett Brown would not be the right coach for that team at all.
It's just a dream. People can dream, but I think the best fit, in my opinion, would most likely be Indiana. I like how Indiana runs. Maybe he could join the Warriors. Maybe he might go to the Rockets. We don't know. We don't know yet. He might stay for all we know.
I feel like he would, but I think also the Golden State Warriors are a good choice for them. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, the best backcourt in NBA history, and Giannis needs shooters. And that's an unstoppable team. You don't even need a center on that team. No. You can really play small ball, and they like to. Or you can have a guy like Kevon Looney in there. I think that's his best fit for most players. The Warriors are probably their best fit because you get so much spacing. So definitely the Warriors. The Pacers, you make a good point. I'm sticking with Minnesota, and I know that you definitely think that they might not be the hardest working team, but think about it. You have D'Angelo Russell there now. You add Giannis there, and then you have a really good 3-point shooter in Karl Anthony Towns at the center position.
Yeah, I mean, but I don't believe in Minnesota. Karl Anthony Towns has been in the league for a good minute now, and all he has to show is one playoff appearance.
Courtesy of the former Sixer, Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, great. So we're going to continue to keep track of that, to say the least, Gavin. We're going to have to really get a good understanding of where he'll want to go. In my opinion, I also think he might stay. I think there's a good chance he stays, but they have to make the finals. If they don't make it to the finals, I think he's going to leave.
Yes.
All right, great. So we're going to shift gears now to talk about a topic that we've yet to talk about on our show. It is college football. We've talked about the NFL a few times. I do have a sleeper pick for college football, but Gavin, let's get some of your general thoughts on this. You want me to go first, or I'll kick it off? So definitely some thoughts. LSU is the defending champions, but I don't see LSU going back to the playoffs this year. They lost a lot of key players, including pretty much their entire offensive team. And so you lose guys like Justin Jefferson, guys like Joe Burrow, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So I don't see them being a good team this year. I do see Alabama bouncing back and getting to the playoffs. Their quarterback looks talented. I think that they have a good chance of getting back to the playoffs. They did take a lot of losses this year, so we're going to have to see what happens. But they continue to consistently recruit and do well. And then my sleeper team, obviously Ohio State I think is going to have a good chance, and I'll get to my sleeper team in just a second. But I also think Ohio State, Clemson is good. I think Clemson's the favorite this year. But my sleeper team is Minnesota. And so the reason that I'm choosing Minnesota is they are in the Big Ten West, so a relatively easier conference to get through. In order to get to the playoffs, it would require a Big Ten victory over most likely Ohio State. And I like their quarterback a lot, Tanner Morgan. I think he's a mature quarterback. I think he is comfortable in the pocket. Their defense has been good all these years. You get a pretty good advantage when you're up in Minnesota in the cold weather outdoors. I wouldn't be shocked if Minnesota claims a 4 seed, and I think they would be a very competitive first game. So, Gavin, let's shift it over to you. Get some of your general thoughts.
Well, you're not wrong at all. I mean, Minnesota, they knocked out some really good teams last year. I remember Penn State was ranked 3?
Number 4. They were number 4.
Ranked 4, and then Penn State got destroyed. Well, I don't want to say destroyed, but they lost to them. My sleeper team for me. Well, first, I really do believe in Ohio State. I feel like they're going to bounce back. They did lose their running back, but Justin Fields was a really dominant player last year. He barely threw any interceptions, and he actually fared well against the Clemson defense. It was Clemson. The Clemson defense, and which is relatively known as one of the best defenses in the nation. But for me, if you want to go sleeper, I think Maryland. Maryland might be my sleeper pick. They got Tua's little brother. I'm not even going to try his name because it's too hard. But they got Tua's little brother, and they got the Alabama, I think, offensive coordinator. That's what drew Tua's little brother to them. So if Tua's little brother, all it takes in college football is one dominant and great quarterback. As you could tell, Joe Burrow, Tua Tagovailoa, Justin Fields, Jalen Hurts, all great quarterbacks. Took their team. Well, Jalen Hurts has CeeDee Lamb, and obviously they all have supporting cast. But I do believe Maryland should. I'm not going to say they might be in the playoffs, but they'll be in top 10 rankings this year.
It's funny enough, both of our sleepers are Big Ten teams. I think that only one team gets out of the Big Ten this year if they do make the playoffs. So it's going to be hard for any team. I mean, Wisconsin, you can think of they lost their quarterback this year, which wasn't really that big of a loss altogether. But Jonathan Taylor, they lost. You think about some of those teams. The reason I point out Wisconsin, they lost to Ohio State in the Big Ten championship after blowing a lead. So the Big Ten championship could be very exciting this year. I think that both sides could have a very fair representative, whether it be Minnesota on the West and then on the East. You definitely have Penn State, who's going to be up there after a good rebuild year last year. I expect them to bounce up this year, but it comes down to that game against Ohio State, and that's going to determine who can win the Big Ten. But I'll put it to you this way: the winner of the Big Ten will make the playoffs.
Let me ask you this question: Are you a believer in Penn State this year?
It's difficult to tell. They have a lot of talent on their team. Their defense is great this year. They have a lot of good role pieces. Their quarterback, Sean Clifford, had a really good year last year. I expect him to step up. Their run game is fantastic. Their wide receiver core is building, and their tight end is amazing. So, in my opinion, they win every game up to Ohio State, and I think that they lose to Ohio State again this year. I'm not sure. I think Ohio State's just too overpowered. So, obviously, Ohio State did lose a few guys. I think Chase Young, J.K. Dobbins, but we'll see what happens. It comes down to that game. I think Penn State wins every game, and then it's up to Ohio State that game. And then the Big Ten championship, depending on who from the East will go.
All
right, great. So other than that, let's talk about the more college football, the Heisman Trophy. I pretty much have my Heisman winner pretty well checked out. But Gavin, let's get your thoughts first. And then I might give sleeper Heisman. I think I potentially have one, but I'm pretty solidified on who I think is winning the Heisman Trophy.
If I know, I think I do know who your Heisman pick is. So I'm gonna not choose that person. I'm gonna go Justin Fields. Look, I like Justin Fields this game. Justin Fields was, like I said, one of the best passers in college football last year when it came to interception touchdown ratio. I think Justin Fields kind of reminds you of like a Lamar Jackson almost, but to a degree. Maybe a better thrower than Lamar, as Lamar kind of proved us wrong this year. But Justin Fields, it's going to be a long shot because I think you're going to pick Trevor Lawrence, and that's kind of hard to obviously beat. But Justin Fields has a great chance of doing it. I think Justin Fields should be it, in my opinion.
Yeah, no surprise on my end. I'm going to take Trevor Lawrence. I'd be curious if Travis Etienne has one of those years where you maybe even maybe not be one of the final candidates, but you think about it, you say, okay, this running back is out of this world insane. So yeah, my choice is going to be Trevor Lawrence, but my sleeper pick is Tanner Morgan. It's a very big sleeper pick out of Minnesota. I have a lot of confidence. It's kind of for me, I see it as a go big or go home year for Minnesota, not because they're investing in all 1 year, but I think that's the kind of team that they are. They either click or they don't. So I think that's going to be my sleeper pick. But Trevor Lawrence, I solidify as my Heisman Trophy winner. And so him, Justin Fields, who do you think is going to be that third guy to potentially be up there with them on the awards announcement day?
See, the thing with college football is you don't know until you start watching. And for me, to even give a third person, I have to start watching college football to see who it's going to be. It's too early to call for the third person, but I think the first two is pretty clear cut on who it should be. I would like. It's just too close to call. I only got a third person for you guys.
No, you're absolutely right. Joe Burrow really came out of nowhere last year when he jumped up from a 55% completion the year before to over 70%. And beginning of the year last year, we thought Tua was going to be the first overall pick in the draft, and it ended up being Joe Burrow coming out of nowhere. So you're right. There's potential for that third pick. Maybe it could be defensive player, could be someone else as well. So we'll see what happens.
We were also talking about Jalen Hurts during last year about being a Heisman winner, and Joe Burrow just took off.
Yeah,
it literally
true.
Did come out of nowhere. So yeah.
Definitely. We'll see what happens. See who makes the jumps this year for those teams. So we're going to continue our discussion here. We do want to spend some time getting some questions and answers. So if you have some questions, drop them in the comments below. I do have a few questions here that were asked to us.
Too.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm gonna pull up a few of our questions here to make sure that we are up and running. So get some questions down below. We're going to answer them. We're also going to answer some here. I did get one yesterday. It says, Eagles record predictions and why I feel that way. How far can they go if they make the playoffs? So it's tough because their schedule is really tough this year. They do have a lot of upgrades. Gavin, I think you can agree with me on that one. Defensively, I think the defense being fixed alone and fixing the offense a little bit and improving the run game is enough to give you 2 more wins at most. I am going to go. It's tough because when I say it's a hard schedule, it's a really hard schedule. Statistics don't necessarily agree with that, but you're playing the entire NFC West. All 4 teams are playoff caliber.
North too.
You're playing the entire AFC North outside of the Bengals. Every team's a playoff contender. And the Eagles being the Eagles is sometimes unpredictable. So, Gavin, I'm going to go first and I'll let you go. I think that they go 10-6. I think they win their first game. I think they lose in the divisional round. And I think that it's a really good year for Carson Wentz. I think that he has a good year. I think that Doug Peterson proves himself as a good play caller again, installs creativity. And I predict that Jalen Hurts throws 3 passes and 1 touchdown on trick plays. And then I
thought you said Jalen Hurts is a starting quarterback.
No, I think 3 pass attempts and 1 touchdown on trick plays during the season. It doesn't shock me if we have a solidified spot for the playoffs if Jalen Hurts starts in Week 17 and maybe turns some heads. So, Gavin, I'll shift it over to you.
So I just looked over the Eagles schedule briefly, and I see them going 10-6, like you said. I do believe that they will make wild card. And they may, I think they win out of the wild card this go round. Carson Wentz is gonna have a really good year. I think Carson Wentz feels kind of a little bit of pressure with the draft pick of Jalen Hurts and knowing that Jalen Hurts is ready to go whenever. But there's also no excuses here. We got Carson Wentz wide receivers. If everyone can stay healthy, this offense is really, really, really dangerous. And the defense, I love every upgrade they made on the defense this year. Even though the Malcolm Jenkins one was a little bit hurtful because we all love Malcolm Jenkins. I think, Zach, you could agree.
Yep.
But I do see we got younger in the secondary as well. And the offensive line, we got Andre Dillon on the left side now. We got a couple new offensive linemen too. But I'm more excited to see what the wide receivers can do this year for Carson Wentz and what Miles Sanders can bring to the table for year 2. So I'm excited. 10-6, yeah. A wild card win. After that, I don't think so.
I agree. No, it's definitely really, for me, I mean, I can't even call Carson Wentz the X factor because he did not have a down year last year. It was just a lot of things just didn't go our way. And so some years things sway like that. But we'll see. And so, Gavin, as we progress towards the season, we're going to do some pregame, maybe do some postgame shows too. We can break it all down. That might be something exciting that we could do on the weekends as we continue to grow as a channel. So let's get to some of the questions in the comment section. I'm going to start with a question from Philly. Philly, do you think it was a little risky to go with Joe Burrow? Since we know he was great, but it was only 1 year. I think, yes, it was risky. But here's what I'll say. Joe Burrow versus guys like Tua versus some of the other quarterbacks is polished. And so what that means, He's more developed. He's older. He has more experience. He was a senior this year. So I think that it's hard after just one season. He went from 55% to over 70%. Everything was perfect for him. So I think he's going to struggle this year. He is mobile. He is smart. He is comfortable in the pocket. But if you're too comfortable in the pocket with a bad O-line, you can get like Carson Wentz where you have fumbling problems or you get some more sacks taken on you.
Just get hit.
You're not playing a Big 12 defense every week, so you don't get to just throw it to Justin Jefferson deep. So I think he's going to struggle at first. I think he's closer to his ceiling than Tua. Obviously, that does usually reflect meaning that he is currently better than Tua, but I think Tua is a better accurate quarterback and a few other things from there. So I think, yes, I do think it was a little risky, but I think it was the right thing to do for the Bengals. And if I'm the Bengals, I'm happy with that pick because I wouldn't want to look back on that in a few years saying, dang, we really could have had a very well-mature player. If the Colts were to draft him, they'd be a playoff team this year because they have a good O-line, good wide receivers, everything like that is in line for them. The Bengals are still a long way away, so I think that he's going to struggle for a few years, mostly because of his surrounding cast.
Well, I'm a firm believer that Tua was the best quarterback in this draft, but Joe Burrow definitely outshined this year because it was the consistency of Tua took a little his whole thing. I know he didn't win as many national championships as everyone thought he was going to, but Tua was still one of the best quarterbacks, or maybe the best quarterback in all of college football except for last year because Joe Burrow just burst onto the scene. I don't think the pick by the Bengals was a bad one. I think they needed a guy like Joe. And hopefully AJ Green. I think Joe Burrow's key to success will be these two guys, Joe Mixon and AJ Green.
I agree. And so we'll break that down more. I think he needs an offensive line first. And so this year I see them going maybe 6-10, 5-11. I think he does start week 1.
So this comment says thoughts on Jalen Reagor. I'll start. I wasn't too happy with the Jalen Reagor pick at the moment in time. I remember telling Zach, I said Howie did it again. Howie's going to be Howie. I was ready for Howie to be fired, and I know so many others was because we all went Justin Jefferson. And after calming down a little bit and looking at Jalen Reagor's highlight tapes, and trust me, I watched them a lot. I come to a point where I can agree with the pick now, but I still think Howie should took the obvious pick in Justin Jefferson. Even though we needed a deep threat, a speedster, but sometimes it's just you gotta go with the obvious. Justin Jefferson was destroying really great defenses. He took on Clemson in the national championship, and he balled out against them. And Clemson's defense, you all know, is one of the best defenses in all college football in the nation. So, in my personal opinion, I would love to have Justin Jefferson here. I hope Jalen Reagor can prove me wrong and prove everyone else wrong. But if Jalen Reagor does not outperform Justin Jefferson this year, Howie Roseman, your pick looks bad again.
You're definitely right, and so I'll just put 2 numbers out there, and I'm not really going to form an opinion yet because I haven't seen him on the field. He has a higher vertical than Devontae Parker, who's known as a high point catcher, and he's faster than Justin Jefferson. That's all I can really say right now until we watch. The quarterback play was bad this year in TCU. His production was down a lot this year. He's good after the catch. He seems very motivated. He seems very determined. I like his Instagram content. I like his mentality. We'll see what happens.
The next comment says, who will win the NFC East this year? You want to go first?
I'll go first. So you want to just we'll alternate each one. So I'm taking the Eagles. The Dallas Cowboys, not because they're less talented. I do think on paper the Cowboys are more talented than the Eagles. The Eagles as a locker room are more together, and when you're stronger in the locker room, when things go the wrong way, you can stick together. They have a new coach. It's going to take a year to get up there, and we still don't know who's going to quarterback them because their quarterback hasn't signed a contract. So Eagles by 1 game. I think Eagles go 10-6, Cowboys go 9-7. It doesn't shock me if the Cowboys make the playoffs with that final wild card spot. Those are my thoughts. I think that the Eagles and the Cowboys do split their games defending their home turf.
See, if the Eagles could stay healthy, I would love to say the Eagles. I probably am going to say Eagles on this. But it wouldn't shock me if the Cowboys do somehow pull this off. Because if Dak Prescott doesn't get paid, what is the scariest thing in the NFL? A person that's looking for his money. So what do? You come out and you perform like no other. You come out 100 times better. Like if this person's running this speed, you run quicker than that. So I want to say the Eagles are going to win the division, but I think the Dallas Cowboys might win by a game because just if Dak doesn't get his money. And if Dak, let's say Dak is playing this year and Andy Dalton is not, I do think Dak is going to be really motivated and angered towards Jerry Jones to go out and win every game. And Mike McCarthy is a Super Bowl caliber coach. Aaron Rodgers didn't really like him that much. But Yeah, give me the Cowboys by one game. And no, I'm not a Cowboys fan when I say that.
Do you think the Eagles can get the wild card if they do not win the division?
Oh yes,
Okay.
yes,
All right, good. So that's
yes.
we'll keep up to date on that. Again,
The Giants pose no threat, and the Redskins are just a dumpster fire.
it wouldn't shock me if the Giants do go 500 this year, though. I will say that. So let's get to the next question. If Carson gets hurt again, what does it mean for him? I want to say it depends how he gets hurt. If it's like overtime, all of a sudden, like, oh, he's a back fracture, something like that, then yes, now I'm going to start thinking that he is not weak, but not like because his personality, his mentality, he's a very tough guy. But when you talk about his body as a whole, can he handle hits again and again? If it's because he's being reckless again, then yes, it's also going to be a problem. That's one of his problems. I don't want to label him necessarily as reckless, but I think that I do think that he has made some decisions that a lot of other quarterbacks make and maybe get away with. I think that his injuries have been a result of a few different mishaps that are 100% coincidental. If he does get hurt again, maybe we have to revisit that. But for now, that's where I stand.
Which you said it best. You can't. Injuries are the unlucky part of the whole sport, and any sport. You don't want to see people get hurt. It's accidental, like the ACL injury, but I just feel like Zach said it best. We're going to revisit it if it happens again, but I'm a firm believer that Carson Wentz will bounce back this year. We'll have a little hiccup with Carson in health wise, but that's for every person in the NFL.
Yep, I agree. I mean, you have players that miss 2-3 games a year sometimes, and he's missed less games than Aaron Rodgers. He's missed less games than Big Ben. So, I mean, obviously the playoff games aren't counted. That's regular season only. He does get hurt later in the year, but we'll see what happens. So,
One more question.
we have time for a few more. We'll try to get 3 more questions in. Any sleeper Heisman picks on the defensive side of the ball? Gavin, do you want to go first here? Maybe read up on this a little bit.
I do know one guy already, and I'm going to say the middle linebacker from Alabama, Dylan Moses. Look, I like the linebackers that come out of any team from like Georgia, Alabama, because they're all ready. Look at Isaiah Simmons from Clemson. Dylan Moses was out last year with injury. He could have went to the draft this year, but he knew he wasn't going to be drafted high. So he said, I'm going to come back for one more year. I'm going to do it the right way. So Dylan Moses could be the sleeper guy on defense. Zach, that's all I got for you.
I know exactly who Mike is thinking of. I don't think it's a sleeper pick at all. Micah Parsons, pretty much a do-it-all linebacker from Penn State. He's insane. He's a very talented player, similar to Isaiah Simmons. We're seeing a lot more of these faster hybrids that are strong and they're big and they're able to do so much, not just at their position. They do more than that. So that's who my pick is. It's not a sleeper, but that's my pick. I'm going to research it a little more and maybe see if I can find a true sleeper. So
come back to that, yeah.
Yeah, and so Kalen, I don't know if Jefferson fits the scheme. I agree with you. We have a lot of interior route runners in Greg Ward, Zach Ertz, and Dallas Goedert. The Kevon Wallace pick, he's got the mentality. Is he ready to contribute right away? I think so. Here's my hot take. I think that he takes over at Jalen Mills' spot after the season. Not that Mills isn't going to show up, but I think that Wallace will be ready after this year to take over at that starting spot. He's a bigger player. He can drop down in the box. He does have some good speed to him and some good man coverage abilities. And he's from Clemson. He's from a champion. He's from a winner. And I know, Kalen, you and I have spoken about this. Draft winners. Draft guys who are used to winning so that when they lose, they know that they got to work a lot harder. And it's really as part of the game. So, Gavin, some thoughts on the Kevon Wallace pick?
I'm going to take an even hotter take. I think after 5 weeks, or let's say Kevon Wallace has a really great preseason, he may even be starting. I love this kid. He kind of reminds me of like a Cam Chancellor almost, like a really good run stuffer. Not the best when it comes to coverage, but I haven't got to see him much. But I do. I'm really high on him. The future is bright for him, and I like the secondary. I think the secondary starts with him now. And
all right,
Darius
who is your most underrated free agent acquisition of this season for the Eagles? I think it's pretty obvious that Darius Slay is the best acquisition, but who's your most underrated?
I think it might be Marquise Goodwin. I think Marquise Goodwin, when healthy, he brings a lot of speed to the team. He brings everything you can ask for in a receiver. We were screaming, we need receivers last year, and what do? We get a lot of them. Jalen Reagor, obviously, first, and then you bring back Deshaun Jackson and everything. But I think Marquise Goodwin, when healthy, could be a really great addition to this offense that no one talks about that much.
Definitely. No, I agree. And so I'm just kind of reading some of the comments over here. Who's going to be the jump ball receiver? Like I'd mentioned.
It has to be Jeffrey, I guess.
I mean, Jeffrey is your tall guy. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside still exists. I think he does take a step up this year. That I'm kind of one of those people that does believe in Arcega-Whiteside is his year to prove it. But Jalen Reagor does have a higher vertical than Devontae Parker. He is shorter, but he has a higher vertical. I think he could potentially win some contested balls as well.
Well, I mean, Jalen Reagor does have the vertical size, but at the end of the day, these cornerbacks are getting taller as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you can try your best out jump, but you can't out jump somebody that's already taller than you to begin with. So I believe it might be Jeffrey. And on the take about Arcega-Whiteside is he has to prove something to me this year. I haven't liked anything he's done so far, except for the end of last season. So for me personally, the time is clicking for JJ Arcega-Whiteside.
All right, and definitely here too, Penn State in the playoffs in the near future. I give him if Fields does depart, it's going to be tough. Fields is going to be there for the next 2 seasons at least. He'll probably go to the draft after that. But if Clifford stays his entire time, then that season after, I see a big opportunity. Even potentially this year, if they can just snag a victory over Ohio State and keep that momentum going for the rest of the year and win out, then I can see them in the playoffs this year. It's all about the Ohio State game. They're going to be playing in Michigan this year. They don't do well in Michigan, so that's going to be tough. Michigan State should not be a threat to them. And then a lot of the other teams that they can handle as well, they just have to be consistent. And so this could potentially be one of their years. I don't think it's the it year, but it wouldn't shock me if they can beat Ohio State. But like Gavin had mentioned, in college football, you really got to sit down and watch it before we really can make some big predictions.
I think Penn State's playoff time was really last year, and Minnesota took it from them. Penn State was playing at such a high level last year. They were destroying. When I was watching games, they were winning games. They came close to being Ohio State that one game. I do believe if Justin Fields does leave, you have a better chance, but he's not going anywhere anytime soon at the moment. And I do think that your time was last year when Alabama was down and it was easy to slide in. And so yeah, I think it would be a little while before we see them go into there.
Right, and just to shift back quickly to my underrated player, I am going to agree with Philly, Javon Hargrave. And so, Isaac, if you're still listening, Steelers fan, I'm sure you know how much value Javon Hargrave really brings to a team. He was doubled over 30% of the time last year, about a little bit, I think 2% lower than Fletcher Cox. So putting those two on the inside is going to be dangerous. I do like that pick a lot.
It's going to help us out a lot. I believe it does. I'm just excited to see. And we're going to get a lot of the guys back too.
I agree. So let's see if we have any other questions here. Otherwise, we can. I know we have about 15 minutes to talk about the GOAT conversation a little bit. We do know that we got a little carried away with it, to say the least, last time, Gavin. So we want to keep it a little bit limited this time. Keep it more civil. I don't know. Keep it civil.
I'm just saying. But you're DeAndre Hopkins. Okay, I'm reading comments. But your LeBron James take was just wow. Had no choice.
We'll see. Because like I said, I mean, right now Michael Jordan is the GOAT, but by the end of LeBron's career, if he gets 2 more rings with the Lakers organization, what if he wins a ring with the Lakers, goes play wherever his son is in a few years, and wins a ring there, and then retires? And he's 40 years old by then with his 4th franchise? You're telling me that he can't achieve GOAT status?
That finals record.
Gavin, we went over this so many times.
That finals, but that does.
Where's the 3-point shooting in the 1990s?
What 3-point shooting?
Which dynasty did he have to go up against?
Oh, you want to talk about the bad boy Pistons? He had to go against Magic Johnson
in the early 90s. We're talking about the 6 rings. They beat them to get their first ring.
You want to talk about that? You have to think about the people he had to go through to get there. He didn't just get an easy ride to there. He had to beat teams like the New York Knicks. He had to beat them. When he came back from baseball, he lost to the Orlando Magic, who had Penny and everybody. Like, LeBron James would never pass Michael Jordan, and he might not even pass Kobe Bryant either. And here's why.
Now he's already ahead of Kobe Bryant. I do want to pull up this quick stat though. Playoff win percentage with and without a All-Star teammate. Without Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan has a 10% playoff win percentage, and LeBron James has a 58% win percentage without an All-Star. Definitely, if anyone wants to drop some comments, I don't look into that too much. If there are some misleading stats there, I'm sure that it's pretty easy to make that. So I'm open-minded to it, obviously, but unless someone corrects me, Gavin, what's wrong with that? That's a 48-point gap without Scottie Pippen and LeBron without an All-Star.
Okay.
You have to mention the fact that Michael Jordan almost his entire career had Phil Jackson as well, which I don't know if the timeline lines up without Scottie Pippen. But even if it's not just Scottie Pippen, the correlation's clear that Phil Jackson makes a big difference.
Look, here's the thing. First of all, I just want to say this. All right, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna keep cool when I say this too. All right, because you're making it hard right now. Look, take a deep breath. You first of all, Michael O'Hara. Statistically, LeBron's a GOAT. If LeBron's a GOAT, wouldn't it be fair? You also got to think about it. He came straight from high school. He came straight from high school. If I came from straight from high school and LeBron was riding every championship he won, he either was on the end of Dwayne Wade's prime. Chris Bosh was still there. A healthy.
We
Chris
acknowledged
Bosh.
it's okay to have help. It doesn't invalidate you from being the GOAT
because
your GOAT has help. Kobe Bryant, if you want to say he's ahead of him, hold on, I'll let you finish. I know we're right next to each other. We might need to get a wider camera, but here's the bottom line. Kobe Bryant needed Shaq. Shaq is a top 3, top 5 center at his position. Kobe Bryant's a top 2, top 3 shooting guard of all time, maybe top 4. And then you take a look at the gap that he didn't win in the finals. He needed to go out and get Pau Gasol. He wanted to lead their team. He tried to bring in Chris Paul. That's pretty simple. That Kobe Bryant is not in the GOAT conversation. God bless his soul. I respect him as a great player. His mentality was amazing for the game. He worked very hard, but he's not up there with LeBron and is not up there with Michael Jordan either.
You really just said that. Kobe Bryant three-peated. Jordan did it twice. There's no
give LeBron Shaq.
James.
Give LeBron a prime Shaq, not the Cavs Shaq. Give LeBron.
He did it. But Kobe Bryant.
What top 5 player? What top 5 player of all time in that respected position did LeBron have? Is Dwayne Wade a top 5 shooting guard? I think we can. Do you want to agree on that?
Yes.
He's a top 5. So there you go. He had a top 5 shooting guard for 4 years.
Chris Bosh isn't
every year. Is he a top 5 center power forward of all time?
He might be top 15.
Top 15.
But
Kyrie Irving. Is Kyrie Irving going to go down as a top 5 point guard?
No. Of all time? No.
Of all time. He's
top
not.
15.
Okay.
Is
Tyronn Lue going down as a top 3, top 5 coach?
You lost your point right there. Kobe Bryant is going to go down better than LeBron, and so will because he three-peated.
Are we still talking about the finals record? Of course he three-peated. He had the best coach of all time and a top 5 center.
So what is your – but coach doesn't matter. I mean, it does matter. It does matter. It doesn't. But here's
he reinvented the game with the triangle offense.
It's just a triangle.
It has 11 titles to its name, so it has to do something.
But it's just a triangle. I get it. If you couldn't figure out what a triangle was, look, it's just the people that ran the triangle. Look at the people that he ran.
Scottie Pippen,
but he ran the triangle in New York, and what happened there? They didn't win anything.
He ran it in Los Angeles, and
they
got
won.
5
but
rings.
Look who was running the triangle.
A top 5 shooting guard and a top 5 center of all time.
Exactly.
LeBron is the best small forward of all time.
You can't throw coaches because it's not. But the style of the game is way different now.
Gavin, I compared 2 successful franchises out of the 3 total. That's a 66%.
Well, my guys never left the team though.
What does that have to? Yes, so that should validate my point more because it proves he can repeat his success with other franchises.
He joined up with people.
Kobe recruited people. He wanted to have Chris Paul on his team, and if it wasn't for New Orleans canceling the trade,
LeBron did too.
So what's wrong with that?
What do you mean? What's
wrong with bringing in players to win? LeBron can go to the finals by himself, but he can't win the finals by himself.
He can't go. He can't go to the finals by himself.
The Cleveland Cavaliers before he left.
He couldn't go to
the Cleveland Cavaliers after Kevin Love was going down, and after Kyrie Irving left.
He can't go to the finals by himself.
That's just false.
If you look
false.
Look at the teams Jordan ran through, and look at the teams LeBron's running through. LeBron is running through soft, straight people. I get 8 straight finals, but look at the record, yo. Look. The record does matter, but the record does matter at some point. You know why?
But it's not in the GOAT. It doesn't make it the GOAT conversation.
Yes, it does. It does too. It does too. It does too. Because when you don't come to the NBA and be like, I'm gonna get all the scoring titles, this and that. Your goal when you come to the NBA, you want to win a championship. Like, come on now. And LeBron never three-peated. And the one biggest thing, if you want to get technical, the one biggest knock you could say about LeBron James' career is the fact that he never played against real competition. Not at all. LeBron would never.
Not true. He played against. What would have happened if Kevin Durant showed up back in their day?
Who is the hardest person LeBron ran through in the East?
In the East?
In the East. Who is the hardest person he ran through in the East?
The Celtics with Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, and Kevin Garnett.
That's it, right? Is that
Not it. The Raptors was.
Is that it?
Nope. The Raptors. Hold on, bring Kalen in. We got Kalen.
But is that it though?
It's not it. Look who's played in the West.
But look who Jordan ran through. Michael Jordan had one of the hardest times in ever in the run through. He ran through Reggie Miller. Like, come on. And plus, there was a super team back then. And the style of play of basketball was so different. And hopefully, Stanley can see here because he's producing on my end. But,
He's on the live stream. He's
okay.
on. But
hopefully, he can help me agree with this.
all right, Kalen, you're on. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm good. We're living.
It's good to have you on, man. We're great to have you on. Definitely.
Yeah.
Bring my volume up. Can you? All right, we got you, man. So give us your argument. I know that you and Gavin are probably going to agree on the Michael Jordan side. I'm still sitting on the LeBron James side.
Help me.
I got to hear it.
Help me.
All right, so you're talking about Kobe. So when you said Kobe's not in the GOAT conversation, I lost it. Because you said Kobe has so much help with Shaq, but then you're not bringing up how much help Bron has had over the years. You're talking about prime Dwayne Wade, prime Chris Bosh, a sleeper in Mario Chalmers, one of the best 3-point shooters ever in Ray Allen. Like, not to mention, we're talking about Anthony Davis, we're talking about Kyrie Irving, we're talking about Kevin Love. LeBron is the recruiter, like the recruiter. And Kobe's one without Shaq.
You're right. No, I don't.
You can't compare.
You're right.
To Shaq, you can't.
Like they're pretty significant role player. But no, I'm not saying. I've made it pretty obvious that you can be the GOAT and have recruit. You can be the GOAT and be on a super team. You can be the GOAT if you're able to go out there and get the job done. It's mostly the GOAT, in my opinion. It's a lot more than just an individual. It's about the teammates. It's about everything, recruiting all your players, but getting involved on the court. Assists become a factor at that point where Kobe Bryant starts to fade out. It's not the only factor that makes you the GOAT or not. Can you argue he's in the GOAT conversation? You still can, but here's pretty much why it's not that he's not a great player. It's that there's two guys above him that are a much larger step above. And according to you guys and a lot of people, you do think that Michael Jordan has a much bigger gap than LeBron James. But here's the bottom line, though. Kobe Bryant has never thrown a team on his back to the NBA Finals.
What?
By himself. Look at the 2018 Cleveland Cavaliers. At that point, it's hard. It took a dynasty. It takes Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, and Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green to beat LeBron. He won the finals in 2016. So they went out and got arguably the best player right now at this time.
It's not like
he did get swept, but he got there. He beat the Raptors because he had no help. And when you win the finals, you have help. When you win the finals, you have help. LeBron,
that's the key part. When was everyone getting injured? Did they
for the 2018 finals? Because the 2018,
everybody.
Kyrie Irving was already gone.
Kyrie Irving was gone early.
The year before, that's 2015 you're thinking of. I'm referring to 2018, 2017, 2018. Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving got hurt in the playoffs in 2015. That year I'm not using. I'm using 2018 as an example.
But Kyrie was still there, though.
2018? He was in Boston beating the Sixers.
Oh, that's right.
Or he got hurt, actually. He got hurt in the playoffs.
Wait a minute. But check this out, though. You ready? Because you want to talk about –
I'm listening.
You want to talk about not having a team. If LeBron is supposed to be the GOAT, why does he need everybody to play with him? Because that's what is always the narrative every year. Is LeBron needs everybody to play with him. Look at Giannis.
How does LeBron taking a team to the finals with no players call him the GOAT when AI literally had no one and took him to the what? Did he take the Lakers to Game 7 with Kobe? Or at least Game 6?
Game 5. Only Game 5.
He won a game
terrible with this AI.
No, you're right. He definitely
AI is undersized too.
You had Dikembe Mutombo, the top 3 center at the time, but regardless that the reason that he's not in the GOAT conversation. No, you're making a good point that with Allen Iverson, why is he not in the conversation? The reason that he's not in the conversation is because he never repeated his success with other. When he went to Denver, when he was with Philly, still they never went back. They never went back to the finals. LeBron James has won what 3?
So what I'm trying to say is. Let me see if I understand this right.
But every time
we can take a team like Charles Barkley.
He didn't carry. So how does that make him the greatest? If he is carrying,
he didn't carry when they won, but he had to carry other times.
Yes, like you're better than Jordan.
Well, so let's compare him to Michael Jordan. Are you telling me Scottie Pippen did not play any role in winning the finals?
Yes, he did. I never said he didn't.
He did, of course he did.
Every team needs a role player. I think we can agree on that. So we have
that's LeBron all the players.
He doesn't need all the players. It
feels like it's all the time, though.
It feels like it, but it's not true. When he won the NBA Finals, he had Kyrie Irving. He had a rundown Kevin Love and a very young Tristan Thompson.
Kevin Love at that time. I wouldn't call him run down.
In
The
2016,
only reason he balled out Minnesota
he's not as good as
because
in
he was the
Minnesota.
face of Minnesota. You play with LeBron.
Kevin Love was getting locked up.
Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving are worse than Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman.
Yeah, probably. You got it.
They're never
Okay, and then so what's the X factor
But
that
they're
made them
good
win
for
the
this
finals?
day and age, though. But they're good for this day and age.
3-point shooting. How's that good?
Wait a minute. Can I ask Kaylin a question?
Dennis Rodman would tear up the NBA today too.
Can I ask Kaylin a question, please? Kaylin.
What's up?
Kaylin, if you can hear me, he keeps bringing up 3-point shooting, but can you remind him that back in the day, fouls are flagrant fouls now were just regular common fouls.
Yes,
So
it's a soft
three-point
game.
shooting.
It's a soft game now.
But I'm still waiting for you. I'm waiting. We're trying to
the paint like that. If you get touched in the paint, it's probably
We're so focused on
talking
about LeBron's.
Jordan was shooting mid range when he didn't drive. That's like the same as shooting a 3.
I can't.
Their philosophy back then was why
We
not
got 5
go
minutes
farther
anyway.
away and risk more points than when I can get closer. Like the goal used to be get as close to the basket. Now it's just they got so good at 3-pointing now you can just chuck up anywhere, like you were saying in the last episode, Zach. That's just how the game has evolved. So it is hard,
Right, which makes you can argue it's softer.
I would think Bron played in the best of the both worlds. He was in that weird transition years, you know what I'm saying? Where it gradually got more to 3-point.
Yeah, you watch the finals in 2012, 2010.
So
No, you're not wrong. I mean, Giannis and Zion have really exposed the weakness of the inside, but how we don't know how. That's why what makes the debate so hard is we don't know how.
We do know how.
No, we don't. We don't know how would MJ or any of them defend. How would you defend Kevin Durant? How do you defend Kevin Durant?
Dennis Rodman.
You think he can't?
Dennis Rodman can stop anybody.
Or kick it out to one of your other 3-point shooters. That's
okay, and then that's where you have Scottie Pippen right there.
And what about the third guy?
But you also
Michael Jordan's right there.
So what's your point? So you're telling me Steph Curry can't either shoot a 3 from behind or blow past Michael Jordan?
No, he can't.
And what if he kicks out to Klay Thompson?
Just Scottie Pippen's right there.
No, come on. You have to at least. You can think. Hold on. Shh. You can think that MJ's the GOAT, but at least admit that it's more difficult to defend against the 3 now than it was. Especially, think about the teams that he's lost to. Think about the Golden State Warriors, which he beat in 7 one year when he did have some of that help. But when he was by himself pretty much, I mean, take a look at it. How are you going to stop all 3 of those guys? Kevin Durant can shoot from anywhere. He can score over anyone. He's 7 foot, Gavin. I don't know if Dennis Rodman's going to be able to stop him.
Can I ask you a question?
Hold on. That can stop him every time. And then he kicks it out to Steph. Okay, Michael defends him. You're telling me that between those 3, not one of them's going to be open for a look.
You're wrong.
And if they come and play up on him, who says they can't blow past him? LeBron, Kawhi, those guys have to think like that. Okay, I can't play that far up because he can blow past me, but I also can't play too far back or he's going to pull up from back there.
Okay.
We do have 1 more minute left, so let's try to wrap it up.
Go ahead, Kayla. You can go first.
Get some closing state remarks.
Go ahead, Kayla. You go first.
All right, my whole thing on the GOAT debate is basketball to me is when I play sports, I play for the point of the game. And the point of basketball is to get that ball in the basket and win them games. And when it came down to it, Jordan and his team, I'm not going to say just Jordan and his team, as in basketball's a team game, did that. Jordan, he was their main scorer. That's why his assists were probably low. He's passing the ball. You know, he's not going to be passing the ball. He's getting people passed to him. When you have that main piece, you work around him. That's what LeBron kind of does, but LeBron does it in a whole different way because he's a whole different player. You know what I mean? He's a bigger, stronger guy, but he's also very athletic. Jordan was a guard. You know what I'm saying? Jordan's, having to dribble around these big guys. He's probably getting bigger defensive guys, another like Scottie Pippen type build on him to play defense because their guards can't cover him. Like it's just, like 2 different positions, 2 different kinds of players and 2 different ages. It really is hard to compare. But as of right now, the point of the game is to win, and Jordan won. You know what I mean? Like 71 seasons, 2 3-peats. You're not seeing 2 3-peats again. And that's why I'm also kind of calling you crazy for Kobe not being in the mix, is because Kobe was a winner. Kobe scored. Kobe known who was covering Kobe. Now when we shoot a ball, what do we yell? We yell Kobe. We're not yelling Jordan. We're not yelling LeBron. We're not yelling Curry. We're yelling Kobe.
No, I agree. It's a good point. So my argument,
you got to remember that it's an influence on the culture and the game overall, as well as just playing the game of basketball. And there are
I agree. And so my final remark
LeBron made a whole school, but I don't know. It is a little too
As
early
we
to
close out,
call it,
one thing
but
too,
that's all I have to say.
my argument though is just LeBron was able to repeat with different teams, different teammates, no matter how good or bad, and different coaching. So, Kalen, thanks so much for being on today.
Thank you, Kalen.
We're going to have you on again definitely in the future. I hope you had a lot of fun. I hope that our viewers had a lot of fun. I know our GOAT conversation was definitely a little lengthy, but no, I hope that everybody enjoyed the show
This
today.
ain't over, Kalen. I promise.
Definitely. So, Gavin, next to each other, we get to close out strong here. It was a great week. Thank you, everybody, for being on this week. Again, please take a look at our links in the description on Patreon and Teespring. If you can donate, that'd be great. We are going to be donating 10% this month to Schreier's Hospital in Philadelphia. Gavin and I had agreed on that. And the next month, we are going to have an actual voting so that we can decide where we're going to donate. So please, if you can donate, that'd be great to support the cause. If you want to buy some apparel from us, we're going to have some of our own start wearing on the show as well. So we'd love to have people come on and be able to do that. And then if you can't, it's okay. Just make sure you share it with your friends and family. We'll be on Monday at 12 o'clock again. We are taking the weekend off. We're going to be doing every weekday. Gavin, some other things you want to mention?
Oh, well, first of all, I want to appreciate everyone for coming out first week of the show. We didn't know how it was going to turn out. We had a good we enjoy everybody that's in here and, you know, interacting with us. We hope we can keep it going, keep it rolling. Next week, we're going to be right back, better and stronger than ever. We're going to have some fun guests coming next week. And one last thing on the GOAT debate, because you know what? I'm not done, but I'm going to have to be done. Michael Harris said MJ's not even top 2. So you two must be in cahoots then. Because that's blasphemous.
MJ, if he's not number 1, is number 2 in my book. But we're gonna get to that next